Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us this afternoon. My name is Katie Earle. I'm the coordinator of the University Express program, and we're here joined virtually with Michael Olear, who will be our speaker. Thank you, Michael. Before we get into his presentation, we'll just go over my usual housekeeping things. And if you've seen me before, I'm so sorry. Please don't get sick of me. But I want to let you know that we are recording this session, and I will try to post it on our website in the near future. And for those of you who are new today, just letting you know you've not done anything wrong because you are joined without your video showing and you're muted and can't do anything about it. That's just the settings for our program, so no worries there. And we'll communicate with you through the Q&A panel. So throughout Michael's presentation, if you have any questions or comments, please go ahead and type those right in. You can send those to him or myself. We'll both be monitoring it. So how do you access that? Well, if you join from a computer or laptop, chances are your Q&A panel popped up on the right-hand side of your screen. You may just have to hit that little caret to expand it, and you'll see your text box. And don't forget to press send, or it's just going to be hanging out there. If you're not seeing that up on your screen right now, if you look to the lower right-hand part of your WebEx window, you should see a little half circle with a square and a question mark. And if you join us from a tablet or a smartphone, you'll just have to poke or touch your screen. That will bring up your control panel. You'll see a circle with 3 dots. Click on that, and then you'll see your Q&A. So we hope you participate and have some fun here with us today. I would like to thank the sponsors of our University Express program, which is my Department of Senior Services, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Western New York, Excelsior Orthopedics, and Wegmans for everything they do to help make this program possible. And as always, if you have questions about programs, services, benefits, anything at all for yourself or a loved one, please don't hesitate to call us at Senior Services. We're at 858-8526. Now let's learn about Michael. Michael Olear is a licensed associate real estate broker with Olear Team through MJ Peterson Real Estate. He has over 30 years experience and is specialized in helping older adults with transitions since 1999. Michael is a graduate of the University of Buffalo School of Management, CEL, and the University School of Social Work Master's Program. His team includes 8 realtors and 4 paid staff working throughout Erie and Niagara counties, helping buyers and sellers of residential real estate with specialized services for older adults and their caregivers. Michael has served on a variety of boards throughout the community, including the Network on Aging, the Alzheimer's Association Board, the Ashford Hollow Foundation through Griffith Park, and the University of Buffalo School of Management, CEL Board, with 2 years as treasurer and 2 years as chair. His active pursuits include yoga, cycling, listening to live music, and attending fun events in the community. Michael, it's all you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Katie, and thanks everybody for coming. Appreciate the gracious introduction. Our topic today is step-by-step right-sizing and how to simplify it. And so what we're going to talk about today is whether you're moving or staying in the same place. Probably all of us, if you're like me, is we tend to accumulate things. So we're going to be talking a lot about what you can do about that. So could we go to the next slide? So number one question that I have to start out with, and I wish this was live because I get some great responses on this, but how do you eat an elephant? Okay, everybody knows the answer, right? It's one bite at a time, or a little bit at a time, or you know, in bits and pieces, and that's how you address this process. The worst thing that anybody can do is to try to run around and do 7 or 8 different things at the same time. The best thing that you could do for yourself is to organize this in a manner that's, you know, very, very palatable, making a plan. And these are the 3 topics that we're going to talk about a bit. Is home safety, which is number one. The most dangerous place for older adults is in their home. You know, things can happen. You know, you get in a hurry. You start doing things too quick. See, I'm in my 60s, and you know, I am very concerned about. We got a couple stairs in our house here and there, things like that. So it's just important for us to, you know, to stay well, to make sure our environment is safe. So we're going to talk about that today. We're also going to talk about reducing accumulation. What's that all about? And then also planning ahead. So first thing, home safety assessment. There is a wonderful product that's out there, and it's available through occupational therapy department at the University of Buffalo. And it's paid for by Community Health Foundation of Western and Central New York. If you can't or are unable to locate this yourself, just contact me and I will get it for you. What this is, it's actually a tool where you go through your house. You can do it yourself, or you can have a family member, a grandchild, have your daughter, your niece, your neighbor, help you with it. But what it does is it actually goes through every different aspect of your house, from the entryway to all the rooms, basement, attic, whatever. And you go through and answer questions. And if you answer the questions truthfully, which we certainly would want to do, at the end of each page, it actually scores that particular location of your property. And it helps, I think it's really good because it helps you take an objective look at your living space and to take, to get really objective about it. This is the type of Google search that would work every time. The one that says University of Buffalo Home Safety Booklet. If you search that, you'll get this home safety self-assessment tool. Highly recommend, and I think it's really worth your time. This is what it looks like, just giving you an idea. This is one of the things, the entrance to the front door and front yard. So it looks at your railings, are they secure? How about the steps? Threshold, lighting at night. A lot of things that maybe we would not think about. Uneven or cracked pavement. Is there spots where ice and snow can accumulate? Maybe there's a spot where you actually might need a grab bar. And once you get done, you go through, you check these boxes, and you fill out the number of problems on each page. So once you total it out, you got an idea, if you're living in a place that's safe or not. Really good thing to do. So feel free, if you can't find it, contact me. I'll get one to you. If you need me to give contact information later, I can do that in the chat. So as far as reducing accumulation, so here's a good question. I love asking this in the live presentation because I usually get about 10 answers before somebody comes up with the correct one. So right now, I would encourage you at home, let's pretend you're playing Jeopardy. What is the first thing you need when you're reducing accumulation? The answer? What is commitment? When you make a commitment, everything changes. So in terms of, making up your mind that you're actually going to do something, once you do that, everything, I think, starts to fall into place. It's one thing to be thinking about doing something, and it's another thing to actually do something about it. So I have a friend that tells a story about if there's 3 frogs sitting on a log and one is thinking about jumping off, how many frogs are on the log? It's still 3. So, and that's, I think, really critical that to actually start doing things, you need to make a commitment. So where do you start? The best thing to do, I think, is to take a look at clothes that you will never, ever wear again. Is there paperwork that you will never, ever need? Talk to your accounting folks about whether or not your tax returns, how many of those you have to save. Sometimes I go to people's houses and they have 40 years of tax returns. You definitely don't need that. There's companies you can pay to come to your house, and it's pretty reasonable actually to have them all shredded for you right on site. Let me just check. I thought I saw there might have been questions. Let's see. Katie, how do I go backwards? Oh no.
For your slides, if you just right click and then back.
Okay. All right. The other things to do is like shoes. Shoes is something that people just accumulate and maybe ultimately they just throw out. Good to know there's actually charities all over town that will take shoes and really do need them. There's a group on the west side that actually ships them to countries. So there's a variety of things out there to do with these. Outdoor supplies. Okay, say you really had you were really into archery at one point in your life, or something, or maybe I don't know, whatever sport. I mean, you can come and get my golf clubs right now if you want. It's a good way to spoil a pleasant walk for me. I like to play. I like walking around outside. So, but those are really the really obvious places. Something I would encourage everyone to do is actually start putting together a note of the different things that you're wondering about, questions, things we're going to talk about through this presentation. Just and put your notes together. It really helps to write everything down. I find that folks that do that have a much easier time of it, because instead of things just swirling around in your head generating fear, you actually write them down and you're able to organize them a lot easier. Even doing like a simple room by room list of things that say you would even just donate. And maybe that's a whole nother story of things you would give to family. But if there's obvious donations throughout the house, what makes the whole process a lot easier is to start taking them a little bit at a time and find like a storage location where you can put them. So it's staged for, say, Salvation Army or any other place who would come and pick them up. Typically, a garage is a very, very good staging area to, over the course of, say, a month, put things into one spot. Or maybe there's a room by your front door or somewhere where you can collect items. It just makes it so much easier. You're not making like 20 trips in one day and tiring yourself out too much. But if you designate a spot and maybe twice a day, you go and grab something and, put it in the donation pile. It makes it so much easier to do it a little bit at a time. If you're going to do a room by room list, something that people find super helpful is to really go through, like, say you're in a house that's like 2,000 square feet. And, if you take an honest look at it, you're maybe living in how many of those square feet? Maybe you're in a kitchen, living room, bedroom, bathroom, maybe more, who knows? But if you're at a point where, say you're living in about 800 square feet of a 2,000 square foot house, things may get to a point where, you're spending money on something that you really don't need. The best way to manage this process in terms of personal property is to put together a list of 3 columns. What obviously you do not want to let go of. Something that, okay, that blue chair, I love that chair. I sit there every night. I read in that chair, and the lamp, I absolutely have to have that. Okay, easily goes in the stay column. Maybe there's something like an enormous chest of drawers, or some other item that you never use, you haven't used in 15 years. Maybe that goes in the go column. And then maybe there's a variety of things that you don't necessarily use, but those would be something that maybe you would donate to family, or maybe a grandchild has said they were interested in something, or who knows. But you can put a lot in that I don't know column and make progress here. So the key thing here is to be making progress and moving in a certain direction. So as far as on the topic of personal property and giving things to family, there's actually three components, to be of concern. I think one is, keeping everyone happy. You don't want any kind of difficulties about things. That is absolutely one of the number one concerns I think most of the folks I deal with, are concerned about. They want to make sure that family is content. But the other aspect of it too is a lot of times people say they want things, but they don't come and get them. So it's, I've had that experience, on both ends of that with my dad, trying to get me to take stuff out of their house, and, just how difficult I was about it, and uncooperative, and same thing with my kids. We moved last year, and we went, scaled back, several hundred square feet in terms of our living situation. And, there's totes that we moved from there to here. That's their stuff. There's like, I think each of them, and my wife is really good at like keeping track of things, and, keeping like stuff that our theory is that 20 years from now, they're going to be happy we did it. We did this. So we'll see who's right. But one of the things about the millennial generation, between, say, the ages of 20 and 35, or so, 40, they just don't want stuff. They're living so much simpler. They don't want a dish set from us, or, they want what they want. So, that's something that's just, I see that over and over and over again. So I think the key thing is to make, make the offer to people, but also be prepared that, maybe it's not something that they really want. So the other thing that can happen too, I think sometimes people maybe will say something like, "Oh, I love this. I love coming to your house. I sit in this chair all the time. It's so comfortable to sit here and talk to you." And, somehow you get the idea that they want it, and maybe they kind of like 30% want it. But would they actually come and get it? So how do you motivate them? How do you do this in a fair way? I think one of the key things is making a decision about when you're actually going to move. And say it's September, you're thinking, okay, well, I'll live here one more winter and I'm going to move next spring. So anybody in the family that maybe is, saying they would want something, or you make a list of people, you can let them know that I'm moving next spring and I need you to come, say if I'm selling a house and moving in the middle of May, I would need you to come by the end of April to pick it up. So that's something that you can do. And if they don't come and get it, they don't come and get it. And you would have to liquidate in a different manner. This rotation method, what I'm talking about there is I've known a number of families that have actually had, a get together, a party. These days you could do it on Zoom even, where everyone links up, and you talk about different things in the house that you might like. And the rotation method is just as simple as taking turns. And, if you, maybe even pull names out of a hat to determine the order of when people would pick. We have a really good donation list. If you need that from us, feel free, just email me or call, and we'll send it out to you, either electronic or US mail. The donation list we have is actually, it identifies all the organizations, gives their websites, their phone numbers, And then as much as possible, it says what, what their criteria is. Some places will not come in your house at all. Some places will only pick up like from the garage. Most of them will not take things out of basements. There's certain entities that only want things for women. So if you need that, we will send it to you. So as part of making your commitment to do things, my mom used this methodology and it worked quite well for her. She made a commitment to herself. She was, high achiever when she made up her mind. She was on like a 1 box a day thing. But you can do it, 1 box per day, 2 every week, 4 every week, 3 a month. The key thing here is setting up some kind of metric for yourself, just so, you are making progress. I mean, I think the other thing that happens is once you have you set a metric that you're going to have a goal for yourself. It also makes you feel better about yourself because rather than just look at all the stuff around my house and never do anything about it, it gives you energy. It actually gives you endorphins too to accomplish goals. It makes you feel better. So if there's one thing to walk away with today, I would say to make some kind of metric for yourself where you can, commit to a process. Part of this whole thing is a money plan. Very, very important if you're thinking about moving, maybe going from a large place to a small place, possibly an apartment, maybe some kind of independent living that has some services attached. Big thing to do is to look really hard at the money aspect. You want to make sure that what you're doing is realistic, it's practical. It's important to talk to people who have your best interest in mind and really aren't trying to sell you anything. So whether that would be family, a financial advisor, maybe your attorney, very, very important to take a hard look at how you're going to care for yourself and, finance the taking care of what you need for a living situation for the remainder of your life. This is a point in the discussion too. I like to bring up the idea of speaking to an elder law attorney. Anyone over the age of 60 absolutely need to talk to an attorney. It's really, really important. Someone that's qualified. Someone told me this once. I asked them if they had taken care of the big 3. Those are the advanced directives, healthcare proxy, will, power of attorney. So I was just starting the discussion and I asked them, do you have an attorney that you've talked to? And she said, I've talked to my cousin's friend at a cocktail party. She's a lawyer. And, she told this person they were fine. They didn't have to do anything. They actually didn't have anything set up. So in addition to the big 3 that I just mentioned, POA, having a will, and having advanced directives for healthcare, it's a really good idea to take a look at your finances with an elder law attorney. And I would certainly be able to give you some names for that. Katie could give you some names for that. If you're involved at all in your local senior center, they can be very helpful with that as well. It's important to be aware that healthcare is an absolute minefield. And maybe you know that, maybe you don't know that. I never hear about any names, but I hear stories from my wife. My wife works as a case manager at Kenmore Mercy Hospital, and she's very, very good at what she does. And she understands insurance, healthcare. I mean, it's so complicated. But what she frequently tells me is people bought a certain type of health insurance because it was cheap. But when, push comes to shove, they don't have the coverage, that they really need. So this is something that it's, and I'm sorry if I'm scaring anyone, but this is something that is very, very important, to do. And, a bona fide, qualified elder law attorney can talk through these issues with you. And how much does it cost? I mean, you can go to one firm and pay, $3,000 for a consultation. I mean, there's people out there who are very, very good, that, maybe with, a few $100s just to get started and get, the basic three things done. And if you need to do any more, they would tell you. And so highly recommend, as long as I have the quote pulpit for the day, I like to bring that up because it's really important. So those are the three things that we went over. All right, so moving. How do you know when it's time? Very, very difficult. Like I said, we moved last year and we talked about it for 10 years before. So, how do you know? Here's a great little thing you can do with yourself. I'm assuming everybody has a calendar. Maybe your calendar is in your phone. Maybe you have a paper calendar. If you don't have a paper calendar anymore, maybe it's all on your phone. I would say do the lines and make up a special sheet just for this, because it's easier when you have it right in front of you. If it's in your phone, you might just forget to do it. So the recommendation is every day at the same time for a given period of time, let's say 30 days. If you have a spot where you have your morning coffee, or you got a spot where at nighttime you sit and read or watch TV or what have you, have a sheet there and then just write down, am I okay with staying where I am? Or would I be better if I moved? Do that over 30 days. And then at the end of 30 days, total it up. And if you're 20% stay where I am, that tells you something. And if you're 50-50, maybe it's just not time to do anything. I think probably on some days when you come in from doing yard work for like 4 hours, maybe those days are like, I wish I'm ready to move. Maybe you feel that for a few days. But this is a really, really objective self-examination, and just a simple tool to try to get some perspective, because that's really what this presentation is about. It's to raise ideas and help you to do an honest assessment of where you are in life and making changes if they're needed. So the second question is, how can you sell your house but keep your home? Is that convoluted, or a contradiction? So what I mean by that is there's elements of our home that are really important to us. Call them your psychological furniture, things that are very meaningful to you. Maybe it's a collection, or maybe it's pieces of furniture or artwork that's on the wall, or perhaps a color scheme. So those are all aspects of your quote psychological furniture. So in order to sell your house and keep your home, it's important for you to identify like what's most important for you around the house, and try to replicate those things wherever you're going. So in terms of like where you sit every night, or say the color scheme of your bathroom, and your fish towels and your seascape, things that are on the on the vanity. I mean, I've been in some really incredible like total fish aquarium type bathrooms, so that's why I think of that example. But that's how you actually can continue to, bring with you the things that are most meaningful for you. So as far as making a move, the most important thing for you to do is create a timeline. In terms of, like, say, the example of, I want to move by next spring. So you actually pick a date and you can start working backwards from there. That's typically how we do move planning with people. Standard, if you're selling a house, standard real estate closing's 2 months. But there's a variety of ways that you can work around actually selling, fitting in your move, fitting in disposition of the remaining personal property that you don't take with you. It's very easy to, believe it or not, it's easy. I tell people that and they're like, no, it's not easy. Well, the planning part is easy. Once you have an actual date you're working with, then once you have a date, you work backwards and you can actually figure out exactly when different things need to be accomplished, including prep time for putting the house on the market. How long do I have? What's the average market time? How long it's going to take before we get a buyer? Those kind of things can all be built in. So these are key questions that we covered a lot, and this is more like as a recap. Okay, these are key things of any kind of moving plan. Where am I going? What am I going to do with personal property? What's the money plan? Do I fix things or sell as is? And do I need to hire people to help me? Those are all key questions that need to be answered. As far as selling a house just the way it is without doing anything, absolutely possible. Absolutely possible. Despite all the inspections and other kind of nonsense that can accompany the sale of a piece of real estate, you can absolutely 100% sell it just the way it is. And then as far as hiring people to help you, there's a variety of areas where maybe some help make things easier. The number one thing that you want to make sure of when you're working through a process of moving is that you don't get sick and you don't fall down. So a lot of times that means you're going to maybe hire somebody to help you do different things, whether that would be packing, maybe you need somebody to do some painting, before you put your house up for sale, whatever you decide. Even to the point of, do you need somebody to help you figure out where you want to go? I mean, there's people around that do all of these things. And, there's an entity called the Network in Aging. We actually had our annual meeting this morning. This is an organization that's sponsored by the University of Buffalo. There's about 100 organizations that belong to it. And there's educational, nonprofits and for-profit. And, through that organization, I've been able to meet, so many people through the community who do things for others, training people to work on a computer. There's, anything you need out there. People will take your dog to the vet. There's so many different services that are available out there now that not only can help you move, but also help you stay in your house. So it's the big thing is for you to take a honest self-assessment of your life and then make your decisions and your plans out of that. That's what I'm encouraging you to do today. So as far as the correct sequence, okay, so if say you do own a house, that's my business is real estate. So, as far as, questions about that or, how to work that out. I've done literally hundreds of moves where people were going from a large place to a small one. And it's always the same difficulty. Like if you run across somebody that's having trouble, that is going through this type of process, I would bet my bottom dollar that that probably at least 80% of the time, people are doing things out of sequence. And that is the number one problem. So much depends. Like a key decision would be: are you going to move first, or are you actually going to move before the house sells, or are you going to move after you've actually had people come through the house and buy it? Or are you actually just going to close the sale completely of the house, and be out on the last day? I mean, there's a variety of different components here, in terms of how you're going to do this. I mean, with COVID-19, it's made things even more challenging. And, I was telling Katie, myself, and there's other realtors out there too that actually are doing a completely contactless um, method of selling a house. Believe it or not, you can get somebody to buy your house and pay what it's worth without them even coming in. The demand right now is so high, you're able to pull that off. But there's, key tools you need to use to try to make that happen. So say it's the type of situation where you're going to move to, let's see, I just had somebody move to Sandra Lane Apartments in North Tonawanda. So their process is very similar to so many other places. So it's a good example. What they do is you go there, you take a look at what they have, and say you want a 2-bedroom upper in the rear of the building. Okay, that's what you decide on. They keep track of that. So when something's coming available, they call you up and say, hey, what you wanted is coming available. Are you still interested? And then at that point, they usually give you a shorter time period to, pretty much commit or not. And in terms of committing, what you do, you give them a small deposit, but then it's held for you for X number of days. So in that case, depending on how you want to proceed, some people would want to maybe just wait till it's available and move in first and worry about the house later. Some folks don't want to do that. They would much rather have the house sold before they leave it. So in that case, how do you pull that off? Because it's more difficult, right? So this is what you do: is you sell the house, and then as far as the excess contents that you're not taking with you, you can build into your contract that you're going to keep possession of the house past the closing. It's called a post-closing occupancy. It's one of my favorite tools to use to try to help people get what they want and do it on the schedule that they want. So with that, you end up being able to keep possession of the house, even though you've moved out, which gives you time, say to do, if you want to do a household sale, or if you want to do just a blanket donation of everything that's left. It's a real simple process to do it that way. The key thing here is trying to simplify everything so you're not making yourself nuts through the process. Question I have all the time is fix as is. And bottom line is you can sell any house without doing anything. And the guy that trained me in real estate, he had all these little phrases that still like echo in my head. But I remember telling him that, hey, I sold a house. He goes, don't buy those new shoes yet, because it's got to close. You got 2 months. But in terms of as is, he used to say, price cures all objections. So it's important to know that you absolutely can sell as is, but it will come as a cost. It come at a cost. So it's that's the thing that needs to be evaluated. Before you put a house up for sale. And like, where do you actually start? You start by, having, a real estate person or real estate people, a few different people from different companies. I mean, whatever your comfort level is, and actually get some opinions about the house, like expense versus return. Is it worth it for me to spend, $1,000 fixing up the front entry of the house, or do I just leave it the way it is with all the peeling paint? They're going to paint it anyways. They'll pick out their own color. It's important to know that that's potentially a problem. If you have peeling paint on the exterior of the house, the bank is not going to issue the mortgage. That's one of the things that gets flagged. and prevents a transaction from closing. So it's critically important that if there are items such as that really don't cost that much to take care of, that you deal with it before it goes up for sale. Staging a lot of times, like even you don't necessarily have to declutter the entire place. You know, I've had so many people sell their house with a garage full of stuff because we advised them to, you know, remove stuff from the living room, dining room, and kitchen so that it looks more roomy when people come in. But, you know, there's an attached garage. It's easier to put stuff in there and get it out of the way temporarily. And, you know, you can sell for a lot. You can sell for a lot more money without having to spend very much. It's just a matter of investing the time. So we talked a little bit about getting help, you know, sorting things out. And there's move managers now. You can hire people that actually will come out and do every single aspect of the process for you. We have a program where we do that too. We like literally organize everything, get you proposals, you know, 2 proposals for a household sale. You need painting done. We have people who can, so we just, you know, project manage the whole thing for you. There's also aging life care manager is someone who's specially qualified not only in moving but also in healthcare. And there are some really good companies around that, and I find them to be particularly useful if you have a situation where, say, 2 partners are, you know, at different levels of functioning. Maybe one of them is healthier than the other one, but they want to stay together. Aging life care manager is really critical and extremely helpful and very much worth the money to help you sort that out. Also something, I mean, I run across people that don't know this, but you have a free caseworker available to you through Erie County Department of Senior Services that could be possibly at your local community center, because that's who's paying for it, that budget line. Or if you live in a smaller town that doesn't have, you know, a senior center, you can go direct to Erie County and get help. Real estate people can be very helpful in terms of helping you determine, you know, how much you can sell a house for, plus, you know, what kind of things you could do to make your house more marketable without spending a lot. The market right now, the market average is 34 days. I mean, we're at 11 days. I think actually the last 2 months, we're down to about 6 days on the market. The last 19 houses we sold have been at least $20,000 over asking price. It's the market right now is just unbelievable. It's unbelievably difficult for buyers and unbelievably beneficial for sellers. We've been listing houses like on Thursday and starting showings Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, ending up with, say, 50 showings in 4 days, and then offer deadlines on Tuesday. So that's been like working really effectively. And it turns out that it's less of an imposition into your life. We even have people like, you know, go to their daughter's house for like 4 days just to get out and be able to show it safely. So that's something I ever want to talk about. So I'm available for other groups. I really enjoy doing this. And I cannot tell if there were questions. I'm going to have to somehow get out of this screen. But I'm willing to do this at your church, you know, women's groups, fraternal organizations, you know, if it can be done safely. So, and, you know, at no cost to you. So that's it. And I'm going to stop sharing. Do I click on the little red stop?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Are they sleeping?
I don't think they are. I actually see, so I see a couple comments, but I see one question. I'm not sure if you're seeing it because I think it might have just been addressed to me.
Yeah, I didn't see it. No, if anybody has
perfect.
anything, please let me know.
Mm-hmm. So first of all, Michael, thank you very much. Appreciate your time and your expertise.
Sure.
Okay, so the first question I'm seeing is, should I have an inspection done before listing?
Oh, great question. I hear this a lot from people. That's a really good question. The answer is no, you should not. The only time that it really makes sense to do that is if the house has like, you know, a lot of things wrong with it. That's the only time it makes sense. The difficulty is one of the things that you have to do when you're selling a residential property in New York State. Really, it's not just New York State either. I think it's 42 states have property condition disclosure requirements, and that's if you live there. So what happens if you do the home inspection, they'll come out, they'll spend 3 hours, they'll go through your house, every detail, and then they'll tell you things like, well, your gutters are marginal, you probably should take a look at doing something about them. You monitor it. You hear stuff like that where one of the things that happens out of the home inspection, they don't take like a really definitive, hey, that's dangerous, I mean, unless they find mold or, something like that. Or so what happens then, you end up with maybe 5 or 6 things in your house that are really functioning okay. And that if you were answering the property condition disclosure without doing that home inspection, are your gutters working okay? Yeah, I think so, they're fine. You don't see water spilling over or, a variety of things like that. So the difficulty with doing the inspection ahead of time, it puts you in a position where it gives you knowledge of, of something that maybe isn't really a problem at all, but it's expressed to you as a maybe. And then all of a sudden you're like, God, should I talk about that? And then you write it down as a problem, and it's really not a problem. So I think it's better to actually have maybe a real estate person who has been doing this for a long time, or and there's a lot of us out there, not just me. Or maybe even if you know someone who's a contractor to take a look through. I mean, a key thing here, what I started with, is making sure your home is safe. And, if you're going to move or not move, I mean, that's something, and you own a house, you should have somebody do that for you. Because the other thing that can happen, maybe it's not a potential harm or anything like that, but say you have some kind of recurrent water issue, where there's water, maybe that's accumulating against the foundation or what have you, it's, potentially a problem down the road. It's far better to take care of it than just pretend it's not there. So I hope that answered the question. Did I, Katie?
I think you did, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
The next question I'm seeing is, can you explain again your recommended timeline between making the decision to move and then actually doing it?
Recommended timeline to think about it. It's going to vary so much depending on the person. And I think the key question is, are you safe where you are? And that is the number one thing to take a look at. Am I safe where I am? And I think the different things that can help determine that are, am I going up and down stairs? Is my laundry in the basement? My bedrooms are on the second floor, I mean, those kind of things, it's kind of relative. Is it safe or not safe? I mean, those are, things that only the individual can answer. I mean, it's good to still go up and down stairs. It keeps you strong. But also at the same time, is it good, is it not? But directly to the question of how much time, like in my example, I talked about doing that calendar over the course of 1 month. Maybe you need a little bit longer. Maybe you do that for a month, and at the end of the month, you're 50-50 or 60-40. Maybe you're not quite convinced. Maybe you just get away from it for another month and then go back to it again and answer the question. make the sheet up and do it for another month and see where you land. Is there did the needle shift at all? Did you go to like 70-30, I better go? And just try to take an honest look at it. I think you can make a decision like this that's a good one, within, say, a period of about 3 months, to give you a time.
Okay, thank you, Michael. I have a couple questions here, just asking if you can give your contact information again, please.
Sure. Either online or by phone. My phone number is 716, and then it's 481 9959. So that's 716 481 9959. And then my email address is just my name. It's Michael, Michael, at Olear, OLEAR.com. So it's Michael at Olear.com. Or you can even just go to Olear.com. That's our website. We have a contact us form on there. So why do I have a bowling pin in my basement? And it's funny, people can see all your background and everything. I just realized that it's there. So my dad worked at a factory that made glaze for the outside of the bowling pins, and they had a machine there that would test it. And when I was a little boy, I went there, and the thing rolled strikes every time. That's why I have a bowling pin.
That's pretty cool. Are you seeing the other questions too, or are they just to me?
I'm not seeing any questions at all.
Okay.
I just, all of a sudden, I was looking for the questions. I was like, oh my God, look at all the junk on the shelves. I'm talking about decluttering.
That's the next class. What does Michael have on his shelves? No. Okay, I've got, how long is your average listing?
Oh, we typically, we don't usually go over a request any more than a few months. And it's, actually over the last 3 months, we've been averaging 6 days on the market. So it's, it's, so nothing longer than 3 months. I mean, even these days, I'm pretty content even with a couple months. So much depends on the rest of it too. Like, where's the house going to be priced? What's the preparation going to be like? And, if there's a spirit of cooperation, I mean, we're willing to work with people on just about everything. So.
Good to know. Thank you. Next question. I want someone to give me an opinion of what I should do to my home to get a better price. Who did you say will do this? And do I have to have a contract with that person?
No, I mean, that's the kind of thing we do. We've been taking a pay it forward approach for, 25 years more, I think even closer to when I started, so that, and, the agents on my team, depending on where you're located, have you, but that's something that, that we would do at no cost. I mean, we do it all the time. I don't know. I just got done with a family in Hamburg. I was emailing them this morning, how they should proceed. The brother's been living in the house, and mom passed away, and the sister's actually doesn't live there, but she's paying for everything, and how to sort it all out. And there's a lot of stuff in the house. I mean, so situations like that. Even if it's not you yourself, if it's, say, you're helping a friend or your POA for somebody else. I mean, we do a lot of that. So what we actually do is spell it all out for you. Okay, do this, this, and this. That's the order. You just have to make the decisions of, when you want things to happen. And then from there, we craft the plan around that. And then the other thing that's really important, I mean, something we really strive to do as perfectly as we can. is give you an idea of, how much it's going to cost to do something. Okay, so, maybe you need to do 1, 2, and 3 here to really, get the most you can for the house. And 1, 2, and 3, how much it's going to cost? Maybe it's going to cost you a few $1,000s, but you're going to make an extra 25,000. That's frequently the case with some things, depending on what the situation is. A lot of times, just reducing the accumulation. Even if you hire somebody to come in, you pay somebody $1,000 to go through and, get rid of stuff that you're never ever going to use, donate, throw out, whatever, and make things a lot simpler. The process, plus make the house look bigger. That $1,000 could be, worth an extra 20. So it's so we do that. We do that all the time. We really strive to be as conservative on the estimates as possible, so that when it's all done, you actually get more than what we told you.
Thank you, Michael. The next question is, can you talk more about staging? Does it help? Is it worth it?
Absolutely. It really is worth it. Part of the problem, I'm getting on my soapbox about America. I read a lot. I really am. I'm an avid reader now. I'm probably, I don't know how long. But I think one of the things that people are lacking is imagination. I think because people spend too much time on their computers and TV and stuff like that, especially younger folks. I mean, I'm not chastising the millennials, but it's just in the buying public in general is, and I think part of it, it's not just, I shouldn't identify millennials, it's wrong. But it's just a lot of people are just so busy. They're too busy, and they just feel like they don't have time to do things. So if you present a scenario that's simple, simpler, you will really benefit. So that's something I've seen over and over and over again. So, in terms of doing some staging, the best staging that you can actually do is to just reduce the amount of accumulation. And, just to give you an idea, I mean, I think about my mom's house and, different things she had there, even our house. I mean, we have like, when we were getting ready to put up for sale, I was taking an objective look. My goodness, you got like the fake dog in the corner, the wooden dog, and the magazine barrel, with all the magazines that you're never even going to read. So getting rid of all that, what you want to do is create a sense of volume in the room. And what is volume? Volume is like open visual space, and especially, depending on if it's even just, say, a moderately sized house that's got a living room that's maybe 15 by 14 or even like 20 by 16 or something like that. It's really critical that you're not taking up visual space, with things that really don't belong there, that maybe you never use. It's ridiculous what you have to do with your kitchen when you're selling your house. I mean, you really have to take it down to like the knife block, cutting board, coffee maker, maybe the microwave, and all the other stuff needs to be put away, so that it presents as good as possible. And that aggravation and effort is just worth so much money in terms of what people are willing to pay. It has an enormous impact to stage properly. So I hope I answered the question. I mean, I don't mean to get on like I'm, harping on America, but I feel like people are so busy. If you present them with something that's easy, you get paid a premium.
Thank you, Michael. Next thing I'm seeing is, Thank you, Michael. Great presentation. Glad to hear your take on home inspection. We are hoping to stay in our home, but we will start our process of getting ready so when that day comes, we'll be ready.
Good. Excellent. It's good to do it ahead. We almost moved like 4 or 5 years before we moved, and we decided not to. And we upgraded one of our bathrooms and put new appliances in the kitchen. We painted a bunch of rooms, and we enjoyed the heck out of our house for another, I think it was 4 years. And then when we actually went to sell, those improvements really helped us. So it's, you know, it's good to do it while you're there and make it nice for yourself.
That's good advice. Thank you. And I have a couple more thank yous. Thanks for some nice info. Very interesting presentation. Thank you.
Cool. Oh, you're welcome. I love doing this.
I know. We appreciate you, Michael. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us. And everybody who's on, thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Hope you have a good day.
We'll
Take
see
care.
you later.